What's up guys, Houndish here, and today it is Thursday, so we're jumping in with a bunch of Bungie updates. Most importantly, of course, we get the Destiny weekly update from Bungie, and with a whole bunch of things coming down the road, the reveal for the Edge of Fate, which is the next expansion for the game, and of course, Rite of the Nine, which will be kicking off at the start of May, as well as some other Heresy updates. Safe to say, we're on the lookout for any of those details from Bungie, so we'll see what we get there. Also, there's been a game update for Destiny 2 today, so we'll cover some of the updates and changes, plus Bungie outline a bit more about how they're going to handle communications between two different IPs. A couple of changes to be aware of, but nothing really major. Believe me, I cannot wait to finally get some more information about Frontiers, and what Bungie tipped as a pretty significant set of changes for the game and the future of the franchise overall, so it's going to be a big year. For today though, we'll round up everything we have, so if you find the video helpful, get subscribed for more content, but otherwise, let's get into it. First thing to mention right here, Bungie have said they're updating their communication pipeline with regards to Destiny 2, and of course Marathon. So firstly, for Bungie Help, which is one of the social media accounts, they've said this is now renamed to Bungie Server Status, and the account is evolving to focus on server health and status messaging for Destiny 2 and Marathon. So for that particular account, it will essentially cover everything related to Bungie, background maintenance, downtime, server issues, and all of that stuff. Otherwise, Destiny-centric gameplay messages will be shifting to Destiny 2 team. The D2 team say, we understand there'll be a few growing pains as Bungie embraces a multi-game future, but they'll still have bug-related comms coming through dedicated accounts, and if folks want to focus fully on Destiny, the Destiny 2 team accounts and Destiny the game will be the place to get all of those updates. On top of that, they'll amplify server status comms for Destiny when necessary, and otherwise, if you do want to keep up to date with the Marathon side of things, there's now a Marathon team account across several platforms, so a few of these things are being broken out into dedicated accounts, which ultimately will be a good thing moving forward. Next up though, before we get into Bungie's blog update, today we did get an update for the game, so this is patch 8255. Interestingly, a reasonably small number of changes here, but for the Court of Blades, Bungie have said they're responding to feedback about the Lucent Hive weeks in Expert Rotator having out-of-band difficulty compared to other factions. So, they've reduced the health on Lucent Hive Guardian bosses, and on Expert, Lucent Hive Guardian bosses now have their super abilities disabled until they are below 33% health. Then in cases where multiple Lucent Hive Guardian bosses are present at once, only one will get its super ability re-enabled. And finally, they've removed the Lucent Hive Knights from the randomized fodder selection due to their ability to cause difficulty spikes on Expert. So primarily they're tuning around the difficulty, especially on the Expert version of Court of Blades, which is good to see. I'm glad that Bungie have introduced more changes there. A lot of conversation as well about the drop rates of weapons in Court of Blades, specifically the Adepts. And of course Shinies, I still feel like Court of Blades is somehow less rewarding than the Nether. So would have liked to see an update on that front, but the other tuning changes are useful nonetheless. Then, for weapon fixes, they fixed an issue where rocket sidearms were not dealing self-damage, so keep that in mind if you've got used to their recent behavior, and otherwise an issue where support frame auto rifles were not applying their intrinsic elemental effects during Sundered Doctrine's second encounter. For today though, those are all of the changes that we've got. Otherwise, as Bungie outlined, we will get an additional update next week, and that's the one that should enable the rest of the secrets in the Nether, or should I say the collectibles required for the title. So only really a few more days until we get an additional set of changes, and I'll keep you posted with notes on that when we get them. Next up though, let's get on to Bungie's blog post for the week. They do start out by reiterating that they're going to have a reveal for the Edge of Fate, the next expansion for Destiny 2, which will be dropping this summer. The reveal itself though will happen on May 6th, immediately before Rite of the Nine launches, so that's going to make for a very busy day. I anticipate we'll probably get an hour-long live stream, if that, and that will be happening 1 hour before the weekly reset. Then we'll be jumping straight into Rite of the Night, so very much looking forward to that. Obviously a lot of expectation and anticipation in general, so should be a fun day. Otherwise, Bungie say regarding those blocky weapons, and they speak about Rite of the Nine early rewards a little bit right here. So they say a few activities tied to Rite of the Nine went live early. This was at the start of Act 2, and in some ways this was a fun moment for the community, getting in and seeing content before it was meant to see sunlight. The activities represented very early passes of what we were aiming for, lacking balance passes, solo-friendly waypoints for Explorer mode, and more. But during this time, rewards associated with these activities were available in a primordial state. You got to see what the first steps in our weapon creation usually look like, at least from an in-game perspective: blocky geometry, smooth textures, and placeholder perks. And it was indeed pretty cool to get those random weapons dropped, of course some of them with very funky perk rolls, but Bungie go on to say, while we were able to patch out the activities quickly, the weapons remained. And we did have intentions of updating these weapons at release, but hit a few snags along the way, and while we'd initially noted that rewards earned would be retained, they will need to be removed. There is a good side to this though. Bungie go on to say, while we know this can sting a little for those who are able to get in and get some goodies early, we do want to turn this into a small celebration for all. So on May 6th, all players will be granted 1500 currency, which can be exchanged with the emissary for rewards. This should be the equivalent of about 2 dungeon runs worth of weapon drops. So they say spend them on day 1 or hold on to them if you're good and ready. So there we go. Unfortunately, those weapons won't be staying in our inventories. But it kind of makes sense, obviously. There are development issues associated with this, probably instance issues as well, where it creates a lot of work for Bungie to update those particular versions of the weapons. So instead, we're getting some additional currency, extra loot essentially, with minimal effort, and even if you don't really plan to jump into the dungeons, which I totally recommend that you do that, because of course we are getting the Explorer mode, which is going to make it friendlier for folks who perhaps don't normally run that type of content, or for solo players and things like that. So I think it's certainly worth checking out, but regardless, you're going to have some currency that will be able to be spent with the emissary in the social space for the event. So ultimately still a good outcome for players, and give us your thoughts below. Otherwise, next week Bungie say the weekly featured Nightfall will be Sunless Cell for the first time ever. So how about we celebrate that with double Nightfall rewards? The featured Adept reward will be Palindrome for the second time since its reprisal, so this feels like a perfect opportunity to get more rolls and to master the new strike at its hardest difficulty. So that in itself is cool. I've been waiting for this to come up as the Nightfall. Also, to get any of the new Nightfall weapons featured again for the episode. And yes, I'm still missing Lotus Eater. Need to go after some good rolls of that. But Palindrome next week with double drops in the Sunless Cell in itself is nice. But Bungie go on to say, how about we jump into the Sunless Cell all together? You can help your friends, clanmates and Discord mates and creators help their vast and amazing communities too. And they say on top of good feelings for helping others and the pride of achieving something, this is also going to drop an emblem called Break Free. We've spoke about this previously. It does have a Darkblade helm and a pretty cool background to it, and everyone who completes a Sunless Cell Nightfall on any difficulty from April 22nd up until April 29th will unlock this emblem. So there we go, pretty cool. That should create a bit more of a buzz around the Nightfall playlist next week. There's also a better look at how the emblem will appear in different menus. So cool to get that, and something else to look forward to next week. They also say, with regards to trials starting tomorrow, players will have the chance to get the Keen Thistle Sniper Rifle. And of course, with the changes in Heresy, there'll be no need to get a Flawless run anymore to earn it as an Adept. So another heads up in terms of content rolling out in the next few days. Otherwise, for interesting parts of the TWID right here, Bungie say we've previewed an armor ornament for Verity's Brow and Wormgod's Caress, which will be coming in the Edge of Fate expansion. And so it's fitting that we close this circle, or more like a triangle, of armor ornaments for gear made out of poor old Zol, the Worm God. So this is the next Wormhusk crown armor ornament coming alongside the Edge of Fate. Obviously some concept art for it right here, but gives us a good idea of generally what Bungie are going for, and they've been slowly teasing us with these cosmetic drops that we'll get for the next expansion, so that's pretty cool to see. Otherwise, they say there will be a new Bungie bounty for good, and this will be kicking off in the Crucible on Tuesday, April 22nd. So Bungie are squadding up with their partners at Guardians Mental Health to continue the support of their incredible work, bringing mental health awareness to the forefront of gaming communities. And there'll be emblem giveaways, sick Crucible plays, plus a few more surprises in store. So players will be able to catch all of the action on the Bungie Foundation Twitch channel. And on top of that, Guardians Mental Health is an organization with deep roots in the Destiny community and has positively impacted the lives of thousands of gamers since their inception in 2019. And if you want to support them, a $10 donation will earn the Awesome Love is the Mind Saver emblem, which is certainly a nice one, and of course it supports a good cause. So if you want to check details out about that, they are linked in the TWID. There are a couple of additional community shouts in the TWID as well, so all of that is linked in the description box. But for today, that is what we have to speak about, guys. So as always, I hope you found the video useful. Share any thoughts you have between the patch changes, Bungie updates, and of course the Destiny stuff coming down the road. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.